Well, she's back. My 2017 Chevrolet Bolt EV is back from the dealers, and I picked her up this afternoon and headed off to have an MRI. Always the best thing you can possibly do on a Friday afternoon just before the end of the year, but you know, it's a yearly occurrence for me. My Bolt is back. It's had fixes done to it, and there's a 3-page, these are all the things that have been done to this car. And I just want to give a shout out to Carr Chevrolet in Beaverton in Oregon. They are, without doubt, absolutely fantastic. They have helped us with our problem child. They've looked at the car. They have not charged us, even though this is an out of warranty repair. The reason they haven't charged us is because when they first looked at the car and they looked, there was a problem with the Technical Service Bulletin, which, for those of you who don't know, Technical Service Bulletins are like little documents that detail known problems with the car that are not severe enough to be given a recall, but usually are, oh, this is a common problem, this is how you go about fixing it. Now, for this particular car, for the Chevrolet Bolt EV, the sway bar issue, where they need to be replaced because I don't know if they're not manufactured correctly, there's just too much twist in them. I don't know what the reason is, and I'll admit I haven't looked into it in great detail. But that is a known problem in one market in South Korea. If you watched the other videos on this channel, you'll know that we had, there was a recall issued in South Korea for this very same problem. But here in the United States, they just gave a Technical Service Bulletin instead. Now, the Technical Service Bulletin just said, hey, this is the issue, here's how to identify it, and this is how you fix it. And so they did that, and the car was still squeaking. So they hooked up these special diagnostic tools, it's basically a load of microphones, onto the car to try and identify the source of the squeaking. Eventually, after replacing part after part after part, which, by the way, Carr Chevrolet are not charging us for. Thank you, Carr Chevrolet. You guys rock. So they've replaced so far, let's see what we have. The stabilizer links. They've replaced the left front strut and mount. They've also done wheel alignments, and that's in addition to what they previously did, which was the sway bar that's not even on here. We haven't had to pay for anything. Chevrolet, though, General Motors, wanted us to pay for everything. And I've still had this phone call from GM. They actually said they're not going to call me anymore after today, in which they were like, yeah, no, we're expecting you to pay for this. And the dealership, out of their desire to keep us as customers, have covered us on this. And so thank you to them. But it shouldn't be the dealership fixing this problem. It should be General Motors. It should be GM. So, the car is back. Does that mean it's fixed? No. I drove from the dealership to the hospital for my MRI. And when I got there, the car was fine. When I came out of my MRI and got back in the car to head back to the studio, the squeaking is back. And so I drove back to the dealership and I went, hey, can one of you guys come around the block with me? And they came around the block with me and they went, yeah, it's still doing it. We don't think it's part of the suspension because we've pretty much replaced all of the suspension components on this car. So it's either a piece of bodywork that's creaking, or there's something maybe in the transmission that's creaking. But that's cool because the transmission is covered by a 100,000 mile warranty. So we're good there. We're way, way away from hitting that limit in this particular car. And so when we get back from CES in Las Vegas, this car will go back to the dealership and they'll probably want to play with it some more and try and figure out what the problem is. Will I have to pay for those things? I don't know. We'll see. But for now, the car is back. The reason it's back is because we're driving down to Las Vegas next week for CES, which is one of the reasons why we haven't been making normal Transport Evolved content and normal content in general. The reason is because CES requires a lot of packing. I have got boxes all over the studio, both in this part of the office space, and also actually in the what we call the edit suite where our computers are. We've got boxes, we've got lists. I think we calculated earlier on that we're taking well over 100 different things that are going to be required to make content while we're there, from lights, cameras, editing machines, you know, even things like this. This is a light umbrella that we use to diffuse the light, because it's actually easier to transport these than it is, you know, a light box or something like that. So we'll be working on packing the cars up in the next couple of days, and so there's not going to be a lot of normal content, but I wanted to give you the update on the Bolts EV. I also wanted to tell you that my partner, Kate, not Kate Walton Elliott, this is Kate Gordon Bloomfield. There are two Kates. If you don't already know, there are two Kates associated with Transport Evolved. One I am married to and one I'm not. The one I'm married to is driving her new car, her 2017 Bolts EV Premier, back from Missouri, back to Portland, Oregon. She drove to see family in Missouri for the holidays, and she and my daughter are currently driving back. If you want to follow her progress, especially as she's just about to hit some really nasty weather around Denver, follow the link that I'm going to put here to Kate's Twitter account and be nice to her, because, you know, she doesn't make videos, but she'll just be recording her progress to illustrate that you can make longer distance trips in a car like a Bolt EV or a Nissan Leaf or anything else that isn't a Tesla, as long as you have access to that rapid charging network along your route. And Kate is pretty lucky, because the route she's taken has got Electrify America rapid charging stations along it. She's had, I think, one instance where the Electrify America rapid charging station, she had to phone up and get them to reset it over the phone because it wasn't accepting a charge. And then I think she had one the other day where some of the stalls were crapping out and wouldn't let her plug in, and then she eventually got it working. But other than that, her trip has been really successful thus far. So already she drove 2,100 miles there, and she's already, I think, probably 3 or 4, maybe even 500 miles into her trip coming back. At the time I'm recording this, she's currently in Kansas. So she's going to drop over into Denver, Colorado tonight. And then tomorrow, I think she's going from Denver, Colorado, all the way back through to Utah. She's going to stop in Salt Lake City. And then Sunday, hopefully, she'll drive from Salt Lake City back to Portland, Oregon. By the way, before I go, I just want to give a shout out to Smart Charge America, who hooked us up with a new charging station for visitors coming to the studio, for staff cars. So they hooked us up with a Clipper Creek charging station. There will be a video coming on that in the future. So thank you to them as well. Now I am really going to say goodbye. I hope you have a fantastic new year. And as always, keep evolving.